Over the past decade, Kyrie Irving has been by far my favorite NBA player to watch, but in the 2021 season, Irving wasn't consistently available for a number of reasons. But in that same year, there was a young guard in Cleveland who was having a major breakout season, and obviously I'm talking about Darius Garland. And at the time, I thought he had the potential to be the next generation's version of Kyrie, having a ridiculous handle, being able to score from all three levels, while also being an advanced playmaker. But over the past few years, Garland's been dealing with a number of injuries. Plus, his role drastically changed after the Cavs acquired Donovan Mitchell. But when looking at Garland's play so far this year, he's back to playing at an all-star level. Now, I think Darius does his best work when he's putting pressure on the rim. Obviously, with the ball, Garland has an extremely sticky handle, but I also feel like his strength off the dribble is really underrated, where he's comfortable attacking through contact to then angle his way for these sharp downhill drives. And there's not a whole lot of nonsense in these moves. Watch him here just explode to his left, to then pick up and veer it back into contact to create the scoring window. When setting up these blow-bys on the perimeter, Garland is elite at using his feet to pick up momentum with the ball by using these subtle skips and floats to charge up and get an extra burst off the dribble. We'll see him here get to this left to right between, then float both his feet up, to then explode and get this outside driving angle.
Garland storms to the basket and
I also think Garland is elite at using a variety of pickups and strides to slice through tight gaps. Watch him here catch and rip to his right. And as this gap defender tries to slide across, notice how Garland is both going to pick up and step with his left foot, using this low gather to knife all the way to the rim. Garland's going to use the exact same footwork here, where he again picks up off his left foot, but instead of sweeping the ball low, he's now going to extend the ball high and step through traffic to get this finish. Now, what ties everything together from Garland's handle and footwork is going to be his pace. When playing downhill, Darius loves to use these change of pace moves, where he slows down and lifts up his level to move the defense off their spot, creating more wide open scoring windows. We'll see him turn the corner off the screen, and watch him get heavy on his left foot, to then turn his hips and head, which slightly freezes these two defenders.
Garland takes the handoff from Wade, tears down.
So Garland obviously has the skills and tools to both break down the first line of defense and slice through aggressive gap defenders. But on top of that, Darius is also a pretty advanced finisher. The first thing that stands out to me is how Garland uses his body in the paint. Because Darius is pretty undersized compared to your typical NBA player, he has to find some different ways to use his body to initiate contact and create scoring windows. Take this play for example. We'll see him here attacking this drop big off the screen, and watch how Garland is going to pick up off 2 feet and attack this big's body, to then extend the ball out wide for this right hand finish. This is also a tough move and finish here, where Darius in transition is going to push the ball to his right hand to then slide it back through in stride. And as he picks up, notice how he again keeps his body between the ball and the defense, creating a window to sneak this layup through. And Garland also has the ability to play off 2 feet. Watch him here keep his dribble alive along the baseline, to then pick up on 2 and get to the shot fake and reverse pivot. Throughout this season, Garland has also been having a ton of success with his floater game, where he can stop short and lift up for these buttery soft looks over towering shot blockers. And what makes these shots so effective is that Garland can get these off in a variety of ways, by either lifting up off 1 foot without breaking stride, or stopping and popping off 2 feet similar to a mid-range pull-up. And then pretty much all these looks come back to Garland's handle and pace, where he's comfortable carving up aggressive coverages to then patiently work to open space to elevate. When creating these looks, I also think Darius is very good at using his body by veering and cutting off angles, giving himself the leverage to elevate. We'll see him here refuse to screen to his right, to then slow down and initiate contact back into his man's body, and push out and pick up this 2-foot floater. And then I also have to mention that Garland can also sink these mid-range pull-ups if the defense decides to run more softer coverages. And Darius being able to knock down these open pull-ups forces teams to step up and play more aggressively, which in return reopens his attacking game. Now when playing downhill, Garland is also an elite playmaker in the lane, where he's great at making quick reads and snapping these tight passes to his teammates. And the reaction time on some of these deliveries is super quick, where Garland will initially leave his feet, but still comfortably find a passing window. And because Darius has an elite floater and pull-up game, he's able to leverage that to pull shot blockers out of the paint, clearing up the rim for dunks and layups. And again, Garland's pace plays a big factor in him being able to make reads and manipulate the defense. Watch him here refuse the screen, to then again get back into the defense's body and bump out into his floater. But when he reads AD extending up to contest his shot, Darius is going to transfer his floater into this lob pass. So with the ball, Garland has this push and pull effect with the defense. If you give him airspace off these screens, it's going to be pull-ups and floaters being rained in over your head. But if you overcommit to him with the ball, Darius is then going to hurt you with his playmaking. And then on top of that, Garland also has a really good feel of the entire court. So if the weak side defense cheats down, he has no problem lasering these skip passes. So again, I think Garland does his best work when he's in attack mode. He's obviously got the skills and tools to break down the perimeter defense, where he's then an elite scorer at the rim, while also having a duffel bag of different runners and pull-ups. And then on top of that, he also has elite pace, which he can use to both playmake, plus open up more of his scoring. Now the next thing we have to look at is Garland's 3-point shooting. So far this year, Darius is shooting over 46% on all his catch and shoot threes. And this by itself makes him a great off-ball piece to have with Donovan Mitchell, because on top of Garland's elite on-ball creation, he can also effectively spread the floor with his shot making. Off the ball, Darius is also a very underrated mover, where he's got the footwork and control to aggressively shift to open space, to then settle himself for on-balance jumpers. And then on top of that, Garland also has a good feel of reading the defense and relocating to open spots. Notice here how OG and Anunoby is going to stunt down towards the ball, and instead of staying glued up, Darius is going to shift down towards his left, giving Mitchell this clear passing window. I also like this read here, where Garland initially starts up at the wing, and as Mitchell gets this baseline drive, Darius is going to relocate to the corner, setting up another wide open three.
Looks a pass to a wide open Garland. Hey!
Now Darius also has no problem creating threes off the dribble, where if the defense gives him too much airspace off these screens, it's going to be a guaranteed one dribble pull-up. And Darius has the footwork and foundation to elevate going both right and left. And there's no fat in his mechanics. Once Garland feels that he has space, he's going to efficiently gather and rise up. So this puts the drop big in a real pickle, because like we went over, Garland is a real threat as a downhill scorer. So that naturally pushes the defense back. But if you sag off too much, you're then giving a 40% 3-point shooter all this daylight.
Garland does not hesitate. Hey!
And then in isolation, Garland also has a bucket of different step backs, where he loves to leverage his driving game to push the defense back, to then separate out into his pull-up. We'll see him here get back to his between skip, to then lower his shoulder selling that drive, and punching back into his jumper. I also like this move here, where Garland's man is aggressively fighting over the screen, and when Darius feels his momentum heavily being pulled downhill, he's going to plant his right foot and snatch the ball back for his jumper.
Steps back for three. Hey!
Throughout this season, the Cavs have also been putting Garland in a bunch of these dribble handoffs, where he's got the tools to punish any coverage. If the defense sags back, he's got the easy one dribble pull-up. But if his man is aggressively overplaying it, he can easily rip back and create a new shooting window. So the Cleveland Cavaliers as a team are obviously a real threat in the East, and right now they have a top 3 offense and defense in the NBA. But I think Darius Garland getting back to playing at an all-star level is going to be crucial for this team in the postseason. And I think Garland easily has the offensive game to give any defense problems. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kids here.